Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
I'm Gary Verticals, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello, welcome along to the Tricky Talks podcast as Forest suffer a Danish pastrying with a 3-2 home defeat against Midtyjlland. We'll talk about that, the fan reaction, and look forward to another easy game this weekend against Newcastle. And Kate is here, Mollo's here, and Angie's still here. Hello, guys. How are you doing? Start with you, Kate. Are you okay after the game last night?
I'm better than I was when I got home. But okay, no, I don't know how anyone can be okay with what occurred last night. Any elements of it, to be quite honest. It's strange times.
Yeah, we'll go into that in a moment. Mollo, welcome back.
Yeah, I'm all good. No, that's a lie. I'm terrible. I'm not ill. I've got my health. It's just Forrest is trying to attack my mental health at the moment, as is the saying. But a bit of laughter on your dad Danish pastry joke. That's got me, that one.
Well, I did say one a week. So let's get straight into it then. We'll start with the fan reaction from last night before we talk about the game, because it is the big talking point after that 3-2 loss. And you guys were there. I wasn't there, unfortunately. And I was, like, as you know, I was attending a Lightning Seeds gig, which was pre-arranged. So I didn't even get to see the game, unfortunately. But you two were there. Let's have some feedback on that fan reaction, because it didn't sound good. It sounded hostile. And of course, Angie's now the first manager in 100 years not to win one of his first games being a Forest manager, which is not a stat you want to see. You don't want to see the fan reaction either. But as it occurred throughout the game, guys, what were your thoughts? It was quite toxic, wasn't it, Kate?
So when we were all arriving and walking over the Trent, the flags were flying, we knew there was going to be a light show, they were all getting to the ground early. There was a lot of optimism. I really did think we were going to win. And a lot of people that I spoke to that can sometimes be quite negative also thought we were going to win. This was it. This is where the tide was potentially going to start to turn. And it was going to be a good night. We bought into the atmosphere, the first game in 30 years, all of that. Really, really positive. The pyrotechnics, which were need more work, I think, to be fair, but still it was, we were all right. We were doing good. And then the game happened. And I just see, even now, nearly 24 hours later, I don't know how to put it into words. What I would say is, for me, bit that I was sitting in, the atmosphere died on their second goal. First goal, we were like, what? Ridiculous, but didn't seem to be panicking. Obviously, we come back and equalise quite quickly, like we did in Betis, which I think buoyed everybody. And we're like, okay, here we go. Now we're going. And then when their second goal went in, it was just like, and it went from being flat to being desperate to being toxic, to the point that I wanted to go home. And I never want to go home. And I was just like, get me out of here. This is awful. Just awful.
Mollo, do you want to expand on that? When did it switch for you in terms of the atmosphere? Obviously, you're in a different location of the stadium, but was it all stadium round, you think, at that moment when the second goal went in, or did it get triggered for you a little bit later on, or even sooner?
I think a bit later on, there was the classic when we conceded, no, here we go, what's going on? But we did get back into it quite quickly with the absolute opposite of Ange ball type of goal, where the keeper actually cleared the ball like he should have done at Burnley, and it dropped nicely and superb. But late in, it was kind of half-time, there was no boos around us at half-time. I've got to say that. I know there was some boos in the ground.
They booed the ref, though, I think, at half-time.
As much as anything, yeah.
Yeah, I think they booed the officials as they went off, yeah.
I'm not so sure totally, because they got a nice dose as they went down the tunnel, but as soon as the whistle went, there was the booing as well. So I think a bit of both, I guess. And then the way the second half played out, and I'm sure we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it, it just got worse and worse, and Kate's right. It became toxic. I actually said towards the end, this is exactly how it felt. I remember playing, I think it was a midweek game in Middlesbrough. There was about 7,000 or 8,000, 10,000 less Forest fans there than there were last night. And it was very toxic that night. I think what sums it up for me, and we can go into the psychology of it and the fact that we've gone from A to B, and B is a long way from where we thought we'd be. As they're walking out, because I just sat down, we were some of the last people to leave. I just sat down in disbelief at what I'd seen and heard. But as we're going out, and the players kind of came our way, and I clapped the players, because as crap as they were, there was can't fault that actual effort. The effort may be misguided in some ways in the way things occurred, and we'll talk about that later, but you can't fault that effort. And even Sangare went in for a bit of a 50-50, poked the ball away and then chickened out, but at least he won the ball first. So I was clapping the player. This guy turned and was going, what are you clapping that rubbish or words that effect for? I just turned around to him and I said, mate, a week ago I was in Seville. I'm now watching a European game. Yeah, we've lost and we're crap. And no, I'm not Ange's biggest fan, but I'm not going to start booing. I support Nottingham Forest. I'm not going to start booing them. And he was like, I suppose, which sometimes it doesn't end that way, obviously. But I'm like, I would never boo my own team, ever. Ever. I try not to boo the ref at the wrong time, because you get that ambiguity where were they booing the players or whatever. So, like Kate says, were we booing at half-time some people because of the ref? We'll get into that discussion later about the ref as well. We should be able to beat a team like that. We know that. There was no flow to the game, and that largely was down to the ref. That's not the reason we lost. We know that. It was just so toxic by the end. I felt embarrassed. Not so much that you're getting sacked in the morning, because that could have been a statement of fact at that point, but the thing that annoyed me is, and we all love Nuno, but why are we singing about a manager who is not only not our manager, he's now somebody else's manager? If there was the outside chance that an olive branch was going to be offered because he was still unemployed, then the brain-dead folk that sang it, and I guess in their heads they think it might go that way, that he's manager of a club, probably, knowing West Ham, on a bigger salary than he was at Forest. It's just ridiculous. I love Nuno. I'm grateful for what he did, but he's gone and we move on. That line in the sand needs to be drawn. And to sing his name, I'm just like, wow. And what annoyed me as well is I looked around, and it wasn't just all the Johnny-come-lately 10,000 fans that we've gained in the last couple of months. It was people my age singing it as partly. It's just, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not helping anyone.
I felt I didn't boo. I wouldn't boo. Didn't sing You're Getting Sacked in the Morning, and I didn't sing We're on the Nuno. But I did understand why people were. And I think that was a bit of a moment for me, because normally I'm the first to pile in and go, don't do that. In fact, I did it on last week's podcast. Don't do that. It doesn't help. It doesn't inspire anybody. But the feeling in that stadium was pressure cooker. People needed to release the emotion. And I feel like for those people that did that, that is what that was about. And in a lot of ways, I would rather they did that than, walked into the market square and started fights with people. I'd rather see that. I didn't participate in it. I didn't like it, but I did understand it. And I think that's what I meant by it made me want to go home. I thought, where's my Forest family? Where's, and I have lived through the Championship and League One and stood in those stands. And for me, there was just something about that really just didn't like it. It wasn't nice.
Yeah, it was a release, wasn't it? A release of pent-up frustration of not necessarily just that one game and what was happening, but the last 5 or 6. And it was their way of expressing how they feel. To quote a word you used, it was perhaps misguided in the fact that it does not help the team one bit at that moment in time. And that is the bigger picture. That is why we're all there, to support the team. And to do that, I'd like to think there would never be a repeat of that. But the only way they're going to not see that, I think, is to get the results. So that is the only way now forward. And I know Ange is still with the team. He's still the head coach. But can he turn it around? Is it now the fans have effectively turned against him, or certainly a portion of fans? Is it too late for him now, do you think? Or can he still turn it around? Because looking ahead, we've got some really difficult games coming up. And you imagine what it's going to be like at the end of the next period of games, where we've got Newcastle, Bournemouth away, and Chelsea and Porto, for God's sake, as well. And Man United. Imagine what it's going to be like at the end of that run if they're still in the same position.
Can I jump in there, though, Simon, and just say one thing? As frustrated as I am, list those fixtures again. How lucky are we from where we were not more than 4 or 5 years ago to be looking at that fixture list?
Yeah.
Some people have lost sight of that, and I'm not going to lie, there were times last night I may not have joined in with the chanting, but I may have at least one point said, please can you hurry up and think about making some sort of substitution instead of standing there like a statue,
please,
Mr. Postecoglou, please. But I did it in A block kind of speak,
A block language,
speak, yeah. But it's like, seriously, you've just said Man United, Porto, Chelsea. And I don't think we should just be grateful to be in that position. That's not what I mean, and what have you. Come on. What do you want? Preston and Swansea again?
Yeah, there was a point, Kate.
That's the fear, though, isn't it? That's the fear that I think a lot of people do recognise that we've come a long way. We've been on this incredible journey. And actually, as a fan base in general, I do think we're quite forgiving. And even when Ange came in, although there was a lot of not wanting him, we were like, let's back him, let's support him. And then we didn't win, but we were like, oh, but that was good and this was good and he was better. And, this is where we think we're going. And again, that's what was so worrying about last night, was we were just awful. We were awful. And I sat there and when Chris Wood took that penalty, like my son tapped me on the, mommy, yeah, they've given it, we've got a penalty. And it wasn't really celebrated, was it? Not the getting it, not the scoring it. And I heard on watching the clips of the goals, was it Fletch that was commentating? I think it was. And he was like, is there a chance for a last minute comeback? And I sat there and thought, absolutely not. Whether we score this penalty or not, we are losing this game. We are not then going to score a quick goal and level it up and get a point. You couldn't see it. You couldn't see where it was coming from. And that is what worried me. That I am a positive person where it comes to Forest, and I often get a lot of criticism for that. But it drained from me last night, that positivity.
Yeah, there were a couple of points you wanted to talk about specifically, wasn't there, Kate? And I'm referring to Angie's post-match quotes and the comments made by the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White and Elliot Anderson. Did you just want to share your thoughts on those and what they really mean?
So the two things that really stood out for me when I listened to his post-match interview were, first of all, when he made reference to their set pieces and the fact that we obviously conceded the 2 goals from the set pieces, and it was the one thing that we knew about them before we went into the game, that they were set piece masters. Okay, and he said we knew the threat that they provided. It wasn't anything organisationally. Okay, that was his quote, and that really riled me, because for me that is him saying, want me? Not me, not my fault. I told them where to stand. I've told them how to, cope with a corner. That's on them. And he made reference to like losing concentration at key moments is something I think he said over and over and over again. Didn't like that because there was no accountability. And that bothers me because that part of the whole bullish, this is what I do, I'm not in any way open to change. So that riled me. So I don't know what you guys think about that.
Go on, Mollo.
At some point, regardless of what we think and the ridiculous setting up with 5 at the back, the players have to take responsibility as well. There was never a free kick. I get that. And the referee was... But there's 2 schools of thought, isn't there, as well? Some people that spoke to me or texted last night, they were saying before the goal they need to get Murillo off, and he get beat. I've watched it back. I can't bring myself to it. Normally I watch the game again, no matter how bad it is. I'm ready to be able to speak it, with more knowledge about it. I haven't watched it back again. But my understanding was he couldn't jump. He got beat at the near post for one of the flick-ons or something. Why was he on the pitch if he's not fully fit? Why was he left on the pitch so long? But ultimately, at some point, players have to take some of the responsibility as well. I'm not suggesting Angie's blameless. And I get it. He must be frustrated because I don't believe for a minute they hadn't prepared for it, because you only had to watch them warming up to see it was like Land of the Giants. So I don't believe for a minute they hadn't prepared for it. And he hasn't come out and said such and such hasn't marked his man, or such and such was supposed to mark the back post. So he hasn't thrown anyone under the bus directly, but he's kind of said, like Kate said. He also said, a bit that I heard, and second half we coped with their corners and set pieces no problem. Well, if that's no problem, Christ, what was a problem?
Yeah, Kate and I were talking off air, Mollo, before you joined, and looking at the individual goals, because that's pretty much the only bit of the game I've seen. Starting with the third goal where they got caught on the break, 3v1. That is what they are known for, as well as being a tall team. They are also known for being quick, and to get caught out 3v1 at the back on a breakaway is down to coaching. They're clearly not in the right spot to defend that breakaway.
Yeah.
So that bit, that goal you can put down to coaching. The other 2 goals, the first 2 goals, yeah, they may well have been told to stand in certain places to defend the set pieces, but when you can't clear a ball that's in your 6-yard box and you're surrounding the ball and you're professional footballers, why is that really coaching if you can't clear a ball? I'm not sure. I'm not a master tactician. I don't really know. And that could be said for both goals. If you've got a ball coming across your 6-yard box as professional footballers, you are trained and taught to defend those kind of crosses week in, week out. And for some reason, they don't seem to be able to do it at the moment.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, that the players aren't in there in terms of needing to own it and have some responsibility. Of course they do. But it was just, to me, well, I've done my bit. Told them what they need to do. What more do you want? So that riled me.
You're right about the third goal, though, Simon, because 3v1 and the one was Sangare, who then stopped because he was 3 against 1. I think he tried to do a one-man offside trap. It was right in front of us, and he just suddenly stopped. It was bizarre. And I'm not suggesting he could have saved it, he could have stopped it. We'll never know. It was bizarre how he just suddenly stopped around the edge of the penalty area. Maybe, like I say, for a one-man offside trap, I don't know. That is down to coaching, 100%, because... We can also argue, if we're being really generous, I'm trying to not be anti our manager because that's not the way I want to go, but that they were chasing a game, and people like Milenkovic seems to be our playmaker at the moment for some bizarre reason, as much as I rate him as a player. But suddenly you've got both centre-halves disappearing too far forward to get caught like that with no defenders back. Because it wasn't a defender that was back, that was Sangare, wasn't it? Doesn't make any sense, does it? You're absolutely right. But then you might as well lose 3-1 as 2-1, some might argue, or not, because it's a league. I don't know. I don't know what the answer was. Although it became 3-2, I suppose. I just don't know.
Another element of what Ange and his teams are known for is of course, injuries. And we saw that with Spurs last season and now. I'm not saying it's happening again, but Murillo obviously went off with was it a recurrence of the same injury or same muscle area? I'm not too sure. I don't really know. But there was talk, I've read, that he stayed on the pitch for too long after getting injured. I mean, again, that's down to the manager. You'd have thought, or is it? We saw it with Awoniyi last year, didn't we? When he ran into the post.
This time, and again, I haven't watched it back, and the players need to take responsibility, and it may have been with a good intention, but the guy next to me that I stand with was saying something's not right with him, but he keeps signalling that he's okay to the bench. He keeps signalling that he's okay. And it was a fairly clear signal in that respect, and he clearly wasn't okay. So I don't know, but the amount he was limping, and he's coming back from an injury, it just absolutely daft. Absolutely daft.
He does have a history, though, Murillo, of playing through those injuries, doesn't he? You only have to think of West Ham away when it looked like he was gone, and then all of a sudden at half-time he came running back on, didn't he, sprinting full pelt. So I can understand why fans are not necessarily concerned, because he's played through those sorts of things before. So, but was he injured when one of the goals went in, or both?
He was limping from about 3 or 4 minutes in.
It certainly looked like he didn't have his man, did he? I mean, at fault, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but he certainly didn't deal well with the goal. Yeah.
What about then? We've already talked about some upcoming fixtures. What about the future for those weeks and beyond? I mean, you, Kate, were asked to go on Sky Sports News today, and there was a conversation about pro or against Ange. I don't think somebody, I don't know if you read on social media, Paul Morley, who's part of the Forest Focus podcast, put a stat online around teams that have changed their manager twice in a season and what the final outcome was for those teams. And it must have been around 10 teams that have done it. And I think something like 8 have ended up being relegated for those teams. So it's a difficult one for Marinakis to kind of, and he's a stubborn man, isn't he? He's not going to necessarily admit he's got it wrong, although he has done that with Olympiacos before when he sacked a manager after 17 days, I believe. So it's a tricky one in terms of what his thought, how he's thinking at the moment. I mean, what would you do, guys? Again, Kate and I were talking off air, and you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place at the minute, aren't you, in terms of what the future looks like? What would you do, Mollo?
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
For a limited time at McDonald's, get a Big Mac Extra Value Meal for $8. That means 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun, and medium fries, and a drink. We may need to change that jingle.
Prices and participation may vary.
I think reading what's come out in the Times today about he's got till the November international break to turn it around, otherwise he's gone, seems probable, doesn't it? He's not had much time. Ultimately, it comes down to results. We can argue about styles and everything else, but it comes down to results. And if he isn't getting results by then will be a change. The big man won't put up with it. I love what Marinakis has done for the club, and I don't want to sound like I'm being overly critical, but if you look at the list of managers he's employed for Forest, he's got it right twice so far out of all those managers. You could argue a case for Lamouchi, I suppose, but most of the rest have not gone so well. Me, I would do what they're saying, go to the international break in November, see where we're at, and take stock. If sometimes, to make no decision is worse than making the wrong decision. But in this case, I think it's the other way around. To not make a decision would be potentially disastrous, but we'll be clearer by then. I don't see the progress, though. One of the other things he said was, we're getting closer. And I think, like Kate said, if anything, we're going backwards, quite literally with half of the passing as well. I think that passing in our own half is very, very nice now, but what's the point?
And that's the strange thing about it, is that you see the first half against Swansea, the first half against Betis, the latter part of the game against Burnley, perhaps. And there are glimpses there. They're just not sustained glimpses, are they? And like you say, there was none of that against Sunderland necessarily, none of that against West Ham, none of that against Midtyjlland last night. So the occurrences of these good periods are becoming far and few between all of a sudden, aren't they?
And I think that's the thing. We're banding around this phrase, this word time, okay? Time. He needs to be given time, okay? Yeah, he probably does need to be given time because of the financial connotations of getting rid of him, because of stats like the one Paul Morley released, which I did see. Interesting. But how much time? So, like you say, the November international break is quite a good buffer, isn't it? But then what means come November he doesn't get sacked? Because as much as I like that as a time period, the November international break seems really reasonable, really fair, doesn't it? If we get drummed 7-0 on Sunday, does it still seem like a good amount of time in November? If we pull something out the bag and we get a gritty draw, November, Christmas is good. Yeah, we'll give him till Christmas. It's the nature of what is going on. Like I say, we're quite a forgiving fan base in general. And even with the losses and the draws, we've been able to say, but we get this and we see this and we see that. Last night was terrible. There's very, very little that you can pick out that's positive. I think the best I came up with was Sangare wasn't too bad. And if that is your benchmark, then dear me, I'm sorry. So this is what I mean. It's such time, but time for what? Like, how far down are we going to go? You can't give him till the November international break if we're losing by massive amounts every single game between now and then, because then that becomes too long. If we're seeing a little bit of progress, which is ultimately what we all want, we want to see the progress. If we're seeing better periods of play, if we're getting some draws, if we're picking up some points here and there, then November becomes quite tenable. But this narrative around we need to give him time, I just don't really know what that means.
I think it means if we're in the bottom 3 in November, at that point, he's going to be gone. And if we're not, then we must have picked up some points, which would suggest progress, because it's a results business, isn't it? If we're in the bottom 3 at that point, whether we're cut adrift or just one win from getting out of it, then you've got to just bite the bullet, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah, time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to do a Mollo's moment in a second. Either of you got anything to raise before we move on to that? And I did promise a story around the Lightning Seeds concert, which I went to. But before I get to that, anything else either of you want to raise about the game in particular or the fan reaction?
One small thing that keeps cropping up, and it really annoys me, is people, 2 versions of it, people talking about our form since a month or 2 from the end of the season. New season, new start, new players, back from injury, everything else. The comparison should be what we saw on the day against Brentford to where we are now. Because we saw, whoever the manager was, we saw what that team was capable of on that day. And it turns out, doesn't it, that Brentford aren't quite as bad as we made them out to be. You look at their results since. So that was all I was going to add. If I read one more person saying, we've won winning, blah, 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 before that, well,
Yeah,
and then people start
100%
bringing in
agree with that.
and then
Really
just to finish me off, and you know what's coming. Some people then add in the pre-season games. And I'm like, have you never played football or watched football in your life? Do you not know anything?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's right. Your fellow Sky Sports colleague this morning, Kate, mentioned that exact point, didn't he? Richard Owen Jones, was it? He mentioned about the run going back into last season as well. So I thought I'd mention that, Mollo. He did say that.
Did he mention pre-season games as well?
No, he didn't, I don't think.
Fair play then. I'll allow it this time.
Right. I promised you a story on irony. This is an ironic story. So we're at the Lightning Seeds gig and they did all their usual hits. And by the way, I haven't inserted any Lightning Seeds song references into the show today, not like I did with Oasis last time, but except I'm going to mention Three Lions because they played Three Lions, and I kid you not, they started to play that song at the exact point the final whistle went because Danny was messaging me all the way through and giving me updates and stuff like that. So I knew exactly what was going on, and he messaged me and said final score 2-3 as Three Lions was starting off. And the first thing I heard on that song, and they had the backing vocals like you hear on Three Lions, like Alan Hansen, where he said it was a bad night for English football. And that clip, of course, was him at the City Ground, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Recorded after a
not
game.
a game, no.
Yeah. And was it a European game?
It's Bayern Munich when we got hammered 5.
And I just thought the irony of hearing that phrase at the moment when the final whistle had just gone and obviously the result going the way it did, I just thought it was ironic that it was a bad night for English football or Forest football. But the timing couldn't have been more ironic, really. But anyway, on to Mollo's moment. What have you got for us this one?
Slim pickings on the football front. So finally, there were contenders, and Kate's already mentioned, for instance, Sangari was slightly less bad than usual, and he had a 10-minute spell before half-time where he looked like a really good player, and he did a couple of really good through balls. One I nearly picked up. But in the end, I think it can only be the moment when McIntyre was going, the Trent End Garibaldi, Forza Garibaldi display, and there's obviously quite a lot of supporters there that don't always get to go. It was my youngest lad's, and my oldest lad actually, his first ever European game, obviously, because they didn't come to Seville. And then just there's one of those moments where, this is what it's all about, and it was fantastic. Lovely feeling. I'm sure there's lots of other families there. Obviously, Kate with her kids as well. First European game. And my son, my youngest son, was absolutely... He's quite laid back normally. He was buzzing like, wow. And plus, he was in... I had to move him from his actual seat to stand with us in A block on this day for safety reasons, if anyone's listening. And it was really nice. And I think Kate nailed it as well. It was amazing. Everything was really good, apart from that stupid light show, fireworks show. Just keep that razzmatazz rubbish for the other type of football, the American
someone there with a light switch and some Aldi fireworks, wasn't it?
No, it's not, but it wasn't of any standard. I just thought, why are we going down this route? But I guess that's the modern game. So the Mollo's moment was just that whole bit of singing our anthem as it now is, and a wonderful, wonderful Forza Garibaldi display, and the noise was brilliant. And a special mention as well for I've got the figure now, 145 Midtyjlland fans. It was hilarious. Absolutely brilliant. And was semi-naked by the end of it.
Yeah, was the atmosphere pre-game louder than normal, given the fact they had pretty much the whole of the Lower Bridgeford as well, with the acoustics that offers? Did it seem louder for Mull of Kintyre?
Yeah.
It was. You know what it's like? The City Ground under lights, when it's like that, is unbeatable until the game starts, clearly, this time. So it was very, very loud. It was definitely up there.
All being well, I shall be there for the Porto game for the next round, match day 3. So, right, we are going to do very quickly man of the match so we can record the votes. Kate?
Oh, are we? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I have to go Sangare then.
I thought you might. I don't think you're going to go there, are you, Mollo? Who were you going to choose, though?
I had watched it twice, though, in fairness, and he did do some eye-catching moments. I am going to go for... My goodness. I'm going to go... this is a real cop-out and a real Sky Sports thing to do. Chris Wood, because when he came on, we looked marginally more dangerous, and on the night, it felt like whoever takes a penalty is going to sky it into the Trent End or into the river. So he kept his composure and put it away beautifully. He actually linked up really well. He played well, I thought, in a short time he was on. So I'm going to go Chris Wood. Again, ole ole.
Excellent. Right. Have you got a quiz for us this time, Kate?
I have. So, look, I was so positive. I bought the programme for memories. I've got loads of programmes. I was like, I've got to have this one. So I'm stealing one from them today.
Have you got the Birmingham City programme from several years ago when Nicholas Bentner played and it was 3-1 at home? Have you got that programme?
Ooh, I don't have to have a look. I might do.
Yeah,
my kids love a programme, so I have most of them. And then my daughter tries to throw them away when I'm not looking.
Yeah, because I was on the back of that programme, Kate. I was on the team sheet. Yeah, number 888.
Could have done with you playing last night.
Yeah,
I couldn't have done any worse.
Because the last time we were in Europe was the 95-96 season. This is my question. In the Premier League, which 3 Forest players ended the season as joint top goal scorers? 3 players, joint top goal scorers.
For league goals only?
In the Premier League, yeah.
Yeah, in the European season.
Yeah, 95-96. Yeah. Okay, so that's my quiz question.
All right, we'll come back to that one. In the meantime, we shall do a quick FPL update as well. So at the moment, Daniel Eagle, Chicken Tikka, Mo Salah is top with 387 points. Anybody know Daniel?
I think he's something to do with Chelsea, is he? I'm sure we've spoken about him before.
Imagine it's a name.
Yeah, Danny's fourth with Mr. Marinakix. Marinakix, yeah. Fourth with 357, scrolling down a little bit. Your brother Ian, Kate, is currently 8th. And Mollo, you're 10th with 343. I'm 13th, so not far behind on 335. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got my triple captain card played last week, so Ireland did me good there. Good lad. Kate, you're 14th, 329.
Better shocker.
And scrolling down to 19th is Chelsea with 317 and Murillo Kintyre. So quite a tightly bunched we are, aren't we?
Mm.
Oh, yeah, and George Mollo is 21st with 316 points. And at the bottom, Josh Mines languishing, Kate, we're on 196 Penguin League, but credit to him for entering, of course. And Stephen Brown, FC No Chance, 223. And Izzy Mines, is that your daughter, Kate? Or is that?
God, no. My daughter would never, ever enter the Fantasy Premier League. That is my niece. That is Josh's big sister.
Okay. She's on 42, but lots to play for. Lots to play for, of course. Right, shall we look forward very briefly to another game this weekend? They come in thick and fast, Sunday afternoon away at Newcastle. You guys are going. One you're looking forward to?
Do you know, this is what they asked me on Sky. Just before we finished, they said, I can't remember exactly how they worded it, but something along the lines of, have you two just accepted that you're going to lose this game? I think that was something along the lines of how they worded that. I mean, how do you respond to that?
Yes.
It's likely, isn't it? It's likely. And I think, ironically, the guy that I was on with said, when Nuno took over, we went to Newcastle and won. So maybe this is Ange's. And I just thought, oh, Lordy. Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take something remarkable, isn't it, to turn around their current form? But you never know. They might grab something. We're clinging to that hope, aren't we, Mollo? But
I'm not, if I'm honest.
The odds are against it at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I think the one positive to come out of it for me is obviously, and sorry to rub it in, Kate, we're going up early because we've got the tickets to the Stuart Pearce question and answer. Free breakfast, break and rolls, couple of hours in there. Nigel Jempson's there as well. And obviously, I've known Gemma a little bit anyway. So that'll be good fun. And then pretty much like yesterday, we'll go to the game. But this time, I'll go very much. It's the hope that kills you, but very much more in long shot hope than anticipation. I think there's a very big difference to when Nuno took over that Newcastle game. If I remember rightly, and I might have this completely wrong, when we did that, Nuno had just lost to Bournemouth because Willy Bolly got sent off, partly for a great tackle. And then we beat Newcastle and Man United, or am I imagining that was the order of things? But when we went up to Newcastle that season, we just were, and it was Boxing Day at
Boxing
midday.
Day,
Yeah.
And I was in London on Christmas Day, so it was a lot of driving. I thought, it's what we do, And it was just the most incredible afternoon. It was probably up there as my favourite result. Lightning doesn't strike twice, does it? That's my concern.
Well, you say that, though. Obviously, if we remember what happened at Newcastle last year, where Forest capitulated in one of those games, didn't they, and let in how many in the space of
4
short period? So if lightning doesn't strike twice, Mollo, then we can expect that not to happen as well. So
I really hope not. But I've got a really... It's got a feel... I don't think he's even inside at the minute, is he? It's got a feel of that game when we all left work early to make our way down to Fulham and we got smashed 5-0, hasn't it? It's got a bit of that feel about it.
Mm.
I hope I'm wrong. Sorry to be negative. And our current form player on the wing, who played well for 10 minutes, is available again.
Hutchinson.
Yeah, he's got to start, hasn't he?
Yeah.
We've signed 4 wingers and not one of them has really nailed it down. And
what I would say, if we are really scratching around for some positives, on the old Forest roller coaster ride that is, supporting this club that we love so much, there would be some kind of poetic license to us getting something at Newcastle, to go from the depths of last night to suddenly getting something at Newcastle. It feels like it could be part of our story. I mean, that is the best that I've got.
It's
I
difficult.
also have a ticket to the free bacon cobs with Stuart Pearce, but unfortunately, because under 18s are not allowed in, my only option is to leave the boys outside with some snacks outside the casino in Newcastle, or be a responsible parent and, I don't know, take them to Greg's or something and not meet Stuart Pearce.
There is another positive, potentially, and this is years of following England cricket. I think the chances of us not losing are fairly outside at the moment, and I really hope I'm wrong. I think the best chance we've got of not losing is torrential rain and a postponement.
Or torrential rain and both teams have to play in appalling conditions. That might level the playing field a little bit.
Maybe.
We're capable. Like you say, when you go back to that Brentford game, we're capable. I just don't know that we are right now in this moment. There's just so much happening, going on, and so little of it is positive. Newcastle must be absolutely rubbing their hands. What a great game for them this weekend.
Yeah, and of course they won 4-0 away in Europe as well, didn't they? So they're on a bit of a bounce at the minute. So you're right, it's going to be difficult.
Jet lagged or something.
Yeah. Where was it they flew from? Switzerland or somewhere?
Wasn't far.
No, so...
Tonight, turn down the noise of the day and focus on the rest with AGZ, the nightly drink for winding down and resting up. New from AG1. AGZ supports your body's natural sleep cycle with clinically studied key herbs, adaptogens, and minerals in amounts supported by research. And no melatonin, helping you wake feeling rested. Wind down, rest up with AGZ. Learn more at drinkagz.com.
I mean, you never know. Let's just hope professional footballers want to get it out of their system quickly, and the only way they can do that is by playing a game. So hopefully they can get it out of their system and get back to winning ways. But we shall see. Is it worth doing a score prediction for this or not?
I hate predicting Forest to lose, because if you do a score prediction, I've got to be honest.
Go on then, go for 0-3. Kate?
I think we're going to score at least one. It's how many they're going to score. And you know what? Despite it all, I wouldn't be anywhere else. I'll be there with my scarf, cheering them on, and just hoping for something. That was what was going through my head last night. Please, 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 please. So that's what I'll be doing on Sunday. Come on, you Reds.
Yeah.
I'm going to say we're going to score one. I don't know how many Newcastle are going to score. More than one.
If there is another positive to cling on to, then I want to refer back to some information I shared in our WhatsApp chat around the stark contrast between the number of shots that the team were getting off under Nuno and the difference it's made to getting shots off under Ange. And there is a massive difference. For example, under Nuno, total shots for their first 4 games was 11, 9, 11 and 5 respectively. When Ange took over, it doesn't include the game last night, he's had 17, 17, 16 and 22 shots. So there is the opportunity, you're right, Kate, to potentially score just because they're getting off more shots.
Do pass backs though, almost, don't they?
Yeah,
generally, last night we just kept shooting straight at the keeper from quite far out.
Yeah, so I think they'll score 1. But you're right. It's how many will the other team score, and I'm going for a 1-3.
The only other positive I can think of, because I'm really struggling, but a bit of hope. Elliot Anderson has yet to perform against his old club, and he looks desperate to perform. If he can perform at the level that he has been, and maybe a bit more on top, it might pull others along with him. But again, or it might just make them realise they made a massive mistake and they're buying back for 150 million. As a joke, obviously 100.
Yeah. Right, let's go back to the quiz then, Kate. I've had a think of who the goal scorers are, and I'm going to have a stab. How many have you got, Mollo?
2 definites, and a third one is conjecture.
Yeah,
okay.
Similar for me. Go on, you say one first, and I'll give you my other.
Woney.
Yes.
Brian Roy.
Yeah, Brian Roy I had, but Woney I didn't. I've got somebody else in mind.
Go on then, who's your other one?
Steve Stone.
Ooh, no.
Kevin Campbell.
No.
Oh my
God, did you just get one wrong?
Oh, he was injured, wasn't he? He was injured. What's wrong with me?
Who was it then?
No, don't tell us. I'm just thinking through. Scott Gemmell.
No.
Yes, it was.
Give up.
Oh my God. See, there we go.
Wait.
Finally got you. Jason Lee,
No.
Brian
Yes,
Roy,
of course.
Ian Wone.
Man.
Oh my God, we're going to beat Newcastle.
Right. Any final thoughts, Kate, before we call it a day?
Okay, here's my final thoughts. So both Elliot Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White put their social media posts out today that said very similar things. They basically said, in tough times, we have to stick together. Now, I have to say, that's difficult to swallow right now, but they are right. And regardless of what happens on Sunday or thereafter, we are here for it. We are Forest fans, and we are only ever going to want good things for our team, for our club, for our manager, for our owner, for our fan base. So, okay, guys, I will stick with it. Let's stick together.
Okay, let's all Forest fans stick together as well as the team, of course. Mollo, any final thoughts?
It wasn't going to be, but I just want to say Jason Lee is one of the nicest guys I've ever met, ever. And I also think he gets we all know why he gets an unfair press, because he was superb in the job he did for Forest, and he was the hardest working player you could possibly want, and way more talented than he was ever given credit for by certain folk. But now I don't like him anymore because I got a question wrong. I'm only joking. He is genuinely one of the nicest ex-Forest players you'll ever meet.
Excellent. Right. That brings us to the end of the show. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review on your podcast catcher of choice. We shall return next week with a review of Newcastle and a special guest coming your way as well. Thanks again for listening. Speak to you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.